Welcome back to our SkillsHub.live series on common voice acting questions. Today's question is, how do I set up a voice acting studio at home? As I go off mic. I'm so trained. I heard that. Did you hear it? I heard it. All right. So we're going to take this in levels. We're going to talk about a starter setup. Now, this starter setup is for level 1, like you're just starting to learn. I'm going to show you what you need. This, or whatever your version of a phone is, or a tape recorder from the old times, or a computer that you can talk into. That's it for your microphone. Starter setup element number 2, a way to record. You can use GarageBand. You can use Twisted Wave. You can use any voice memo. This phone here has voice memo on it. You can use that, all right? You got to think of what the purpose of the use of your setup is. In the beginning, it is simply to record and play back your workouts, your personal workouts, okay? I have to say, I am partial to Twisted Wave at all levels, that program, because it's really, really easy to use. I found it to be very, very intuitive. And if you're taking a class or getting private coaching, let's say you're getting coached by somebody, you can run a Twisted Wave file on your computer at the same time you're in the session getting coached. Or you can just pop up your voice memo and record the whole thing and listen back to it later. I like Twisted Wave because I find their editing system very intuitive, so I could go out and go back and edit in pieces that I found valuable. Okay? So your home setup is the same thing you would need to FaceTime your grandma, or, audio, or record a phone call to your cousin. Anything that simple. Truly, don't spend a bunch of money in the beginning. Spend your money on classes. People spend money on gear, and I think it's a way of kind of unconsciously avoiding the harder part, which is sitting with where you're not yet good at something and taking the time to build the skills. Just doing the grunt work. The grind work. That's where the gold is. Okay? When people went panning for gold, they didn't just walk up and pick it up out of the river. They had to sort and sort and sort and sift and sort for who knows how long. And then the gold came. That's this career, right? Sorting, sifting, learning. But I find it to be a lot more fun than I imagine gold panning might be. I don't know. I've never gold panned. All right, except maybe at a museum, those things they have. All right, so that's your baby starter setup. Next level setup is your I'm beginning to audition. I want to sound good. With this one, you can do a very simple USB mic. I think I started with an AT2020. This was for my travel setup years ago. So you need a very basic USB mic, and you need some kind of recording software. Again, a simple DAWs, they call it, Digital Audio Workstation, Work Setup, something like this. That's above my pay grade. You need a very simple recording software, like Twisted Wave, GarageBand, any of the basics. Those are the ones I'm familiar with. But there are a lot more, and just because I didn't mention them doesn't mean they're not good. Those are just the ones that I know, all right? So you need a basic USB mic, basic recording software, and the thing that people overlook so often is treating the space. You can have a great mic, but if you're standing in what sounds like a public restroom, it's going to sound terrible. Reflective surfaces, like let's just look at the back of the phone for a second. This is a very reflective surface. It's very bouncy, versus if I talk into my sleeve, it's still pretty quiet, right? That looks really weird. Fabric does wonders. So your first level your first level professional setup can be that USB mic, basic digital audio software, and a furniture pad that you can put on pipes around you. You could go into your closet. Closets are wonderful places to record because they're surrounded by fabric, and it's not a flat surface. You could go into a room that has a lot of bookshelves with books of different depths. Basically, what you're looking to do is break up this surface here, because that way sound waves can't go boom and bounce back and forth across it. Now, George the Tech and, lots of other people who are way more educated than me about these things can explain that part a lot better. But what I know is you don't want a solid box. It doesn't go well. You want to break it up. So any room, these panels back here, they don't have any special audio properties, but they break up that solid surface that's the wall, okay? So you just need your closet, someplace where you can hang stuff around you and make the actual quality of the walls and the surfaces capture sound for the voice in a much friendlier way. You get rid of the echoes. Now, after that comes soundproofing. Then you could upgrade to like a vocal booth, something that's a contained box, if you will, that will eliminate or greatly reduce outside noise. All right, so 2 things your space does for you. It tunes the space, so it's either not too reflective and not too dead. Dead comes from all the fabric, okay? And look, guys, don't worry about perfecting that. Just get it to sound pretty great, and don't worry about the rest, the fine details. That's what high-level engineers and audio experts are for when you call them in on a consult, okay? So you want to get it sounding nice inside and then keep the sound from outside from coming in. Those are the 2 things, okay? So that's your sort of basic level professional setup. If you want to take it to a higher level, I've done this many times. I've moved a lot, and I've built studios in some of the craziest, and I've DIY'd them. Very fun. Don't recommend that if you want a really, really nice space. Get the experts to do up a plan. Again, I know George the Tech did the plan for this studio right here. And it started out as me just ripping off strips of molding off of the walls, because I was redoing this room anyway, laying it out on the floor with a tape measure and taking a photograph and sending it to him via email, and he designed the space for me. You can get a professional to design it, and then you can either build it yourself or get a professional to build it. This high level studio here has double walls. Everything is double walled. Nothing touches any other room in the house. It has these things here are ceiling clouds. People forget to treat their ceiling, and if you can either build a ceiling cloud, which is like a wood frame with insulation inside of it, wrapped in fabric, and then hung up on the ceiling to break up the sound. You can also just staple a towel to the ceiling. It's a very similar effect, okay? I built these panels here. I'm going to turn you for a second. See this panel right here? I built this panel out of little 1-inch thick audio panels that I bought off Amazon, put them inside a wooden frame, ordered this like cloth, shawl or whatever off of Amazon, and stapled it to the outside of the frame, because I was sitting right next to a very reflective surface, which was a painted drywall wall. So those are the basics. All right, you need a microphone, something to talk into. You need a way to record. You need a space inside that's not too reflective meaning all the drywall, remember, all the hard surfaces. And it doesn't all have to be completely dead surfaces like fabric, okay? By the way, when you're buying fabric, if you'll notice, when I move, you don't hear this fabric much. I actually don't have loud fabric in here. Be careful. I would not recommend putting nylon on your walls, because it's going to sound like this. Anytime you touch anything, it's not good. So pick quiet fabrics. I have a lot of suedes, a lot of fake suedes, not brushed cotton, not nylon. All right, because nylon can be more reflective. Okay, that's a lot of principles and a lot of information. Hopefully that's been useful, and you can pull something out of it that will help you set up your home studio. But take this with you. Don't spend the money until you have to. I didn't even talk about the professional level mics. Once you get out of the USB mic stage, I highly, highly, highly recommend testing microphones. Whether you find a local provider in where you live who will let you go there, record the same line, the same sentence over and over on a bunch of different microphones, and listen to it later. I recommend drive away, listen to it later, and it'll jump out at you at which one's right. This one jumped out to me over 20 years ago at 8 different mics. And I went in and tested them all, and I was like, bam, that one loves my voice. There was a different mic. It was a Sennheiser that everybody was like, oh, Sennheiser. Didn't like my voice, like my Bronner likes my voice. So I love my Bronner. Now this is a mic that is an investment for later. You want to buy this microphone when you're making more money and you're set up and ready for an expensive high-level microphone. I don't recommend the high-level microphones in the beginning unless you stumble across a bargain. But again, it's your path. Do it your way.